All right. Welcome and good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, everybody. This is Fabio Nascimbeni from the European Training Foundation, and I'm glad to welcome you in this third webinar of our new learning club on teacher professional development. This is the agenda of the event of today. This is a meeting of the club, so we feel reassured that we are among colleagues and friends. So as usual, this is going to be a rather informal meeting with the objective of advancing on a few areas that have been identified at the beginning of the work of the club. Olena, my colleague, will share with you in a moment the different areas. What I just wanted to tell you is that this is one of the four clubs that we are supporting from the European Training Foundation, and one new learning club focuses on STEM, one focuses on artificial intelligence, one focuses on adult upskilling and reskilling, and this focuses on teacher professional development. This has been the latest club to be launched, but not because of that is less successful or less important. We know that we are in the week of the World Teachers' Day. That's why we wanted to have this event today. And this club, let's say, is a bit at the core of our work on teachers, trainers, and as we call them, educators, not only of the ETF community of innovative educators, but of the European Training Foundation as a whole. So looking at the agenda, we are going to have first, let's say, keynote speech or let's say, general introductory speech by Rena Psifidou from CEDEFOP with some interesting results on teachers. I won't spoil anything. And then we will devote some time to a panel with teachers and teachers' representatives and dealing with the areas that we are debating at the moment in the club. And then we will close with a quick debate, a quick open discussion on what comes next and what we can all do together within the club to make sure that it's not only talking and learning from each other, but is also about producing something that can serve other teachers and other teacher professional developers, and at the end of the day, learners that are our, let's say, main target group. I'm now very happy to give the floor to my colleague Olena Beck, our team leader of, among other things, of our work on teachers. Olena, over to you.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank, first of all, everyone who already sent all the greetings in the chat and let us know where you are from and who you are. This is really important for us. We will follow up always on your participation. And I also wanted to say that luckily all our speakers are here, so we can really start along with the agenda. As a way of introduction, I did not want to repeat what we already discussed in the previous clubs because I believe that many of you, or most of you, have been from the beginning of this year in the previous sessions of the club. So just to maybe recap a little bit where we are at the moment and what is the meaning or what is the purpose of today's discussion. So as Fabio said, we have 4 learning clubs, and as you see, we have this repeated combination of words new learning in all the names of the clubs, and also it has been for 5 last years the name of our team, Creating New Learning. So we really wanted to address and respond from the ETF side to the challenges that are posed by the new ways educators and learners and everyone who participates in the teaching and learning process in lifelong learning perspective work and live. So the whole learning has changed, and it's starting to change even with accelerated speed. So we are looking together at the learning environments that have changed. Now we are talking it's a habitual thing to speak about hybrid learning, and online learning became our reality, especially from the COVID times. And all these challenges are posed for teachers. So teachers who are already in service and who are becoming teachers this year or next year, they all understand these challenges. So we tried with all our work to respond to these challenges, both by doing research, by producing tools and methodologies to support teachers in their work, also to describe the key characteristics of teachers. So you would find the ready model on our website, which describe the key characteristics of 21st century educators, again in broad sense, as Fabio already mentioned. And you would find different tools that we have been producing and that have been already taken on board by colleagues. Thank you, Lilia. We know that, for example, Scaffold has been adopted by many educators, and I've done an experiment in one of the big international meetings asking people, could you raise hands who knows what Scaffold is? And almost half of the room raised hands, and most of these people have been using it. So I would say that we have new tools or new versions of the tools coming soon. So Fabio will be soon also, and other colleagues will be working to demonstrate how we updated the digital education reform model. So we are launching DERF 2.0, and etc., etc. But behind all this, even policymakers who are making choices where to put the scarce resources, which are always limited, where do we invest? In textbooks, in tools, in the facilities, what will be the priority? And it seems that the most important asset of learning and teaching is a teacher, an educator, mentor, facilitator, any trainer, teacher, somebody who supports meaningfully learners. We are today in the third this year discussion, which is aiming at teacher professional development. As you have noticed, clubs are all different and their agenda, their priorities depend on the members. So as many of you remember, we asked you, what are your priorities? What would be the main focus areas which you would like to discuss together with us? And these 5 priority areas have been addressed throughout these meetings that we are having. So maybe my colleagues would show the diagram of the 5 topics. And in the second club meeting, we discussed 2 of the topics, the one on the number 1 and number 5. I don't know how this happened about numbers, but we started with the first and the last one. And this was about applied situated learning, which is professional development of teachers on the job. And we were talking about integration of learning of key competences into the teacher professional development. And for today, we have 3 other topics. So we would like to combine today in a certain logic the 3 other focus areas which were selected by participants of this club, which would be teacher and student well-being, international teacher professional development and mobility, and peer-based teacher professional development in connection with the use of digital platforms and other tools. So thank you very much for the screen sharing. We would like to propose you the following order today. We first would ask Rena Psifido, our dearest colleague and friend from the sister agency CEDEFOP, to set up the basis for our discussion. So she would, we would not call it a formal keynote speech, but it would be some kind of inspirational speech which would set up the agenda for these 3 topics of discussion. And then we have a panel of 3 speakers. We will introduce them in the second round of speaking. And they will share their own insights on each of the 3 topics. We will not have a debate after Rena's input, but we will allow a couple of questions. So if you would like to ask her questions, please put them in the chat. If it would be important for you to ask the question personally, we would switch the microphone on so you could ask your question. But it will be just responding a couple of questions. And also, Rena would need to leave at around 2:40. So if if there will be more questions to her or more ideas or something you would like to discuss with her, please continue putting them in the chat. We will collect it all and we will make sure that Rena receives it. And then we will have the distinguished panel, the inputs, and we will be able to open a discussion on the topic. So I think we are okay with time. I saved a couple of minutes in my introduction. And Rena, would you like to take the floor?
Thank you very much, Olena, and thank you very much, Fabio, for this introduction. What a great pleasure. I mean, to be today when we celebrate the Teachers' World Day, we celebrate teachers all around the planet to have this new learning club. I'm really proud. I'm really honestly proud that I'm part of that. So, as I was seeing in the chat, some people coming from countries with which actually I'm not used to work with because I'm coming from CEDEFOP. CEDEFOP is the European Agency for Developing Vocational Education and Training, and we work with all the European member states. So looking at Ethiopia and Ukraine and other countries, so I would love to listen to your questions and have the possibility today to bring a very good basis to support altogether vet teachers and trainers. So, having said that, CEDEFOP is a sister agency of ETF. We work very closely together. And we hope that what I will be presenting to you today will inspire all of you, and we will have the chance later on to see the very final results, because today will be only about some preliminary findings of the work that we do at CEDEFOP. So let me share my slides, and please let me know if you do see them properly. Just give me a few seconds. It's fine. Okay. So, I spent a few seconds on the title, From the Classroom Up, Amplifying the Voices of European Vet Teachers to Shape Policies. So what I will be talking about today is the challenges that vet teachers are facing, mainly, of course, these findings, as I said, from European countries, but I would love to know and hear from you also whether you do identify same challenges in your own countries. We already know from research that some of them, they're actually global and persistent challenges. And we will see how we can really empower teachers to give the possibility to them to really raise their voices and shape policies that affect their own profession, their own job, and well-being. So, as I said, some global teacher crisis, with very, very, very few exceptions in the whole world that this may not be the case. We do see that there is an aging teaching force. So 44.2% in upper secondary vocational education, teachers are aged more than 50 years old. This with the fact of the third reason that this profession is not really attractive to young people, you may imagine that can cause important teacher shortages. We also see a lack of adequately qualified teachers. And I say adequately because the needs are changing constantly. And you may know these all the EU policies that they prominently promote digital and green technologies using and making all young people competent to that. Also, the great demands due to the socioeconomic changes and migration to promote inclusion in learning environments. So we see constantly in Europe that teachers are lagging behind in some of these qualifications and competencies. As I said before, not only an aging teaching population, but also it's a fact that very, very few young people, they actually aim to become teachers. And that's not by chance, as if you consider that the working conditions of teachers are not really exciting to young people. So you may know that vet teachers earn almost 11% less than other tertiary educated workers, but working condition is not only about salaries. And one topic that you will be addressing today is the well-being of teachers. And actually, we see that lacking important support. They're lacking financial resources and also human resources to support them. So this makes overall the teaching profession to not be very attractive in Europe. Imagine that by 2030, we will need 4.8 million additional teachers. So and we see the teacher skill gap, especially of what I said for digital and green transition. We do see important skill gaps in languages, in recognizing this teacher crisis is actually a key step towards solving it. And we've seen actually since the started already not in Osnabrück but in Copenhagen back in 2002 until the very new declaration on vocational education and training that was signed in always comes top in the agenda, but not only at EU level, it also comes at national level. And you may see on the right diagram that from a workshop that we held at CEDEFOP, there are regular workshops that we do every year involving all key stakeholders from national levels and asking them actually what will be the main priority in your policies in the coming years. You see that vet teachers and trainers professional development ranks second. Well, despite all this support from the EU policy context, there are still many persisting challenges, and CEDEFOP to reinforce the evidence that is needed to understand what are the challenges that teachers are facing and how can we support them. We have started for decades now researching and analyzing so many different aspects in the professional development of teachers and trainers. And from all this research, we actually concluded on these persisting challenges. We see very weak links between their professional development and salary supplements or career progression. So actually teachers, vet teachers, don't have many opportunities for career progression. We do see important barriers to accessing high quality and relevant professional development. And these barriers are mainly due to lack of funding and also the huge workload that they're facing. So it's very difficult for them to attend seminars, workshops for the professional development as this conflict with their working schedules. Something really important is that we see very limited involvement of vet teachers to be engaged in the co-design of their professional development. And what does this mean? This means that there is very few needs analysis about the skill needs of teachers in Europe. Although in school-based vocational education and training, there are quite some surveys that try to assess the skill needs of teachers for further professional development. These are not systematic, these are not national at national level. And also, if we talk about in-company trainers, then we saw that only 10 European member states actually conduct some research and some skill needs analysis to understand at what levels and what topics they should support the teachers and trainers. We also see very rigid entry requirements to the teaching profession. And increasingly, there is a model of hybrid teachers and trainers, meaning that teachers are giving also the possibilities to work in the industry and trainers to work in schools. But this is an emerging trend. It's not it's not like there is no legislation to still support these developments, and it happens in very, very few countries. Although this, as you may understand, giving possibilities to teachers to go to the industry and trainers to go to the teachers could give great basis for further professional development. And most importantly, we have not found any systematic impact evaluation on the effectiveness of the professional development of vet teachers. So what does this mean? That we don't know what works best for them. All these reasons and many more led us to design and launch few days ago the European Vocational Teacher Survey. So I had the chance to be with Olena at CEDEFOP headquarters in Thessaloniki a few days ago, where we really celebrated a big momentum. And it is a big momentum because through this new European Vocational Teacher Survey, we will address so many data gaps that we have. We will collect for the first time robust evidence to be able to really shape policies and support teachers, and not stay at the general level that we need to increase salaries or that we need to give more opportunities for professional development. We really need to understand their specific needs and have very, very tailored policies. So what is this survey about? Well, actually, these are the 5 main objectives. We want to measure, first of all, and measure the extent of which teachers participate in continuing professional development. And we want to see how this participation varies across teachers and countries, and of course, which are the reasons that this varies. We want to understand what are the motives and what are the barriers for teachers to participate in professional development. We want to see, as I said before, the effectiveness of their professional development. And we have developed a very, very rigorous methodology, also drawing and inspired by other surveys that we have carried out at CEDEFOP to be able really to measure the impact of the effectiveness of the professional development that vet teachers have participated to. And we focus on 3 main areas: digital, green, and inclusion. So we want to see what are the skill needs of teachers in these 3 areas and what kind of professional development they have access to. Okay, how do we do it? Well, actually, we address this survey to teachers who work in initial vocational education and training institutions which offer qualifications at ISCED level 3. We address 23 member states. That's because the survey is voluntary, and countries, they had to endorse it officially. So 23 countries agreed to be part of this survey, which to us is a great success. We aim to target more than 680 schools around these 23 countries and interview more than or around 14,000 teachers in initial vet. And we target both teachers who teach general subjects and teachers working in vet schools that teach, of course, vocational subjects. On the right, you can see the participating countries. Just concluded the pilot of the survey because this rigorous methodology for running the survey includes also a pilot stage to all the countries. So we had with around 30 to test the communication approach, the incentive strategy that we give to teachers to be responsive to our survey. And these are some very preliminary findings. Please be cautious because these are not take some time because we just launched it. It will run for a whole academic year and we expect the findings in 2027. But see these interesting findings, how they come, although they are for some research. We talked before about the low social status of teachers and the challenging working conditions. So from around 600 vet teachers that we interviewed in these 23 countries, we see that 13% said that they are actually somehow satisfied with their salary. So only 13% they said that they receive an adequate salary for the work they do. Only 10% said that they believe they are valued in their country. So you see how low is the social status of teachers. And what did we say before about the workload, about the well-being and the stress generated to teachers, where 50% of them, they admitted having taken additional tasks because of teaching shortages in their school. And what about the support they receive, the support for professional development? Because you may know that having access to professional development and feeling secure and sure that they are ready to perform their job also affects their well-being, their self-perception. And we see from these preliminary findings that only 1 in 2 teachers actually are sufficiently supported by their school to participate in high quality and relevant continuing professional development. So, low social status, challenging working conditions, low salaries, a lot of work, and support only to half of them. And when we ask them about their skill needs and in which areas they feel that they need more support, these answers are based on those who said that they really need significant support, meaning that they really have left behind. So 27 for them, they said that they need support to be able to also support a diverse group of students. So imagine with increasingly diverse classrooms, they still 27 for them, they are not in a position to promote inclusion in their learning environments. And 33% they need further support to make learning more accessible for vulnerable students. And this can mean different things, adjusting the content, the pedagogies, and so forth. So we see that an important amount, although small, these are those who need significant support. What about the digital skills? Well, here again, answering to the extent of they need significantly to be supported, 32 of them, they said that they need further professional development in using digital technologies for teaching. 30% for students assessment, how to use these technologies to assess students, and 32% would like to be further developed to understand and assess the potential risks of using digital technologies in their classrooms. Actually, from the survey, we found that to a great extent, above 80% of teachers, they do use digital technologies. However, we know also from other surveys at CEDEFOP that the digital technologies that they use to this great extent are basic digital technologies. They don't really use high tech. And this is what also comes to be seen when we ask them up to what extent they use AI technologies as part of their work. So only 10% they said that they actually use AI technologies very often. 31% they need significant professional development to be able to identify actually which AI technologies are relevant for their work. So still, they need to understand the potential of AI and how AI can be used for teaching, for assessing, for so many different ways in their daily work. And 34% they need further development in assessing the potential risk, biases, ethical issues, and so many other things that we're discussing nowadays about using the AI. But see also something very, very interesting. We ask them whether they believe that in the next 10 years, their job will be replaced by a robot or by an intelligent machine. Actually, only 43%. They said that they do not believe that this will happen. And here we're wondering, and we hope that indeed teachers can never be replaced by a robot. On the other hand, we are wondering if this belief is because they are not very much aware yet about the potential of AI and other intelligent machines? And I would like to finish with this question, Mer, and I would like to invite all of you to reflect if the challenges that I presented to you today about teachers are also challenges that you believe exist in your own country. And also, perhaps you can let Fabio and Olena know whether you also believe if teachers will be replaced by a robot or intelligent machine or not. We hope not. Especially, I do hope, and they continue celebrating the existence of teachers, especially today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rena. What a question at the end. Actually, we have only a couple of minutes to ask burning questions, any clarification questions from Rena. And if any of you, I would like to ask Roberto and colleagues to help me if there were any questions during during Rena's speaking. If not, we can open the microphone for a couple of questions.
There were no questions in the chat. I think the flow was really, let's say, well going. So I think everybody was simply listening. At least that's for myself. But I don't know if people want to try to reply to the provocative question of Rena, or if you
Maybe
have.
we should start, Fabio.
Yeah.
You start and I start.
Well, actually, I can start with a small anecdote. We are trying to follow this experiment by this British college that is promoting a course on actually a degree of fully taught by AI with no educators as such, but just let's say human facilitators, whilst everything from the platform to the content to the curriculum to the tutoring is actually run by AI. We are trying, and this already, let's say, they should have completed the first year, ending summer last year. The interesting thing is that there are no results, no results on the impact of this. So I'm curious if this was the Gordon College, if I remember well, from London. And actually, I'm trying to understand them. I've been reaching out to them to know how it went, because if you are so bold and brave to promote actually something with no teachers, okay, at least let's see how it went. But I haven't received any response yet, which makes me think that Reina possibly is right, that I mean, a course with no educators at all is a bit out of let's say, at least out of our way of thinking. But of course, I have my personal opinions, but this is interesting to to see that let's say there are no outcomes yet from this experiment. But as soon as I hear something, I will let the club know.
This was not pre-cooked. This question was spontaneous. This was Rena's initiative to ask this question. So what I would suggest that our panel speakers, if you would like to say what you think in any point of your speaking, this would be very interesting, without, of course, changing the focus of what you were going to say. And if the participants of the club, all of you who were listening and who were challenged by Rena, if you would like to put it in the chat, that would be interesting to follow this discussion. Myself, I think the easiest would be to say, no, Rena, they will never be replaced. But I think the question is so deep and complex, and we don't. The more we observe what is happening with us, the more we understand that we cannot predict the future. So we cannot say what will happen. And so I would say that if we keep the term educator broad in our focus of our support work, in our collaboration, if we keep it broad, then we all understand that the role of educators will be changing and maybe changing quicker than before. And that means that there will be some place for AI to contribute. But what it will be, we still are going to figure out. So that would be my diplomatic answer to the question. But let me see if there are any questions so far to Rena.
I can go on and talk a bit until you collect questions. I think the important that we should think about is not to have to be forced to stay without teachers. You saw the important teacher shortages, really important teacher shortages. I would love to hear from the participants if they also have teacher shortages in their countries, and how do they support the well-being of teachers? How do they try to make the teaching profession more attractive? So we can have several speculations about to be replaced or not the teachers by robots, but the important is to not have to face the situation, because there are countries that they are considering to address teacher shortages by using a robot, by using AI. So I think the important is to empower teachers, and I believe this is what is this club about. So it would be nice to hear now or later after the panel also how in your country you support teachers.
I think we are perfectly on time to start with the panel discussion. So I think we would proceed not to accumulate the delays, but I also wanted to mention that, as you know, there is also a club which has a name Teaching with AI, which has been very deeply looking into these issues, and which produced also some tools, some outputs. And we will explain at the end, but just to mention that there will be some cross-thematic meeting of the club later this year to conclude it nicely and to bring together different insights and knowledge and skills and attitudes developed in different clubs. So I would suggest that we keep the focus and keep the energy for that discussion. And with that, I would like to just maybe to set up the scene for the panel, to say what I took from Rena's keynote or introductory input, that it has been confirmed by years of studies of CDFOP and ETF, and by your everyday work, by the studies of all the partners here, and also by some first results of the pilot of this big survey that has been launched by the CDFOP, that we all know the problems. We know the teacher burnout, we know the turnover, absenteeism problems, we know the teacher shortages, the skill gaps, the need for working on teacher competences in lifelong learning perspective. We know that we need to support the careers of teachers, to deal with access issues to training for teachers, for professional development. On the other hand, we have low motivation and supply-driven teacher professional development in many cases, which does not involve teachers in needs assessment and in co-creation of training, etc., etc. So overall, we all recognize that in many places there is lack of flexibility, both for the teachers themselves to operate, but as professionals, but also for them to be trained in a flexible way that would be focusing on their learning outcomes and their real needs, and not to be supply driven to theoretical. So this whole panel that we agreed to introduce to you today will be very practically focusing on, if we think about the policy level, big processes are going on, documents are being prepared, policy measures are being deployed, but we cannot just sit and wait. And so there is something we can do in our everyday basis, in our own working places. So at the level of the school, at the level of community, at the level of local, for example, sub-network, education sub-network, at the level of teacher teams and individual level. So let's try to focus on each of the three topics that were announced for today's club. And I would propose Martina Marcassa to kick off the discussion. She is Deputy Head of Projects at All Digital. So inevitably, she will be also addressing the digital aspect and the importance of digital platforms. So my question would be, Martina, what are in your view, professional view, the ways and tools to provide sustainable support for professional development of teachers? And would you share some insights regarding the most significant barriers that teachers face on the one hand, and also how we can benefit from digital platforms for peer-supported professional development? Over to you. We set for our speakers a very strict timing, 5 minutes.
Yes.
But they will have a second round for reflections, and also they will participate in the discussion. So I hope we will not make them sad after at the end of this. Please, Martina.
So thank you, Elena, for these questions. And first of all, when we talk about professional development for teachers, I fully agree with you that we should first broaden the perspective. So it's not only about teachers in schools, but about educators in general. As all we know that today boundaries between formal and non-formal contexts are like increasingly blurred. In terms of a sustainable approach to professional development, I think this would mean looking at the whole learning ecosystem. So we often focus on providing new digital tools or new digital platforms, but what really ensures sustainability is building the capacity of educators to adapt, to train the others, and to keep learning themselves. And that's why at All Digital we support the train the trainer model. As this approach across all our projects, this approach is like the one that mostly increase the impact and the sustainability of both for teachers and for learners. And in this regard, for instance, in the Crawl project, it was a project that we ran in the past. We worked on developing specific skills for students through the professional development of teachers first. So the professional development of teachers was the first step to then allow the development of skills for students. Teachers and educators involved in this project, they learned a creative methodology to produce audiovisual material and use gamification to build real-life challenges for their students. And in this regard, many teachers told us that they recognized how vital media literacy and critical thinking are, and not only for their students, but also for themselves in the first place. But yet they rarely have the time or the opportunity to be trained in these areas, which I believe is one of the main barriers to professional development of educators. This also shows how important it is to adopt an holistic perspective on teacher training and lifelong learning as well, as educators need both the time and the opportunity to grow themselves before, and then they can transfer their skills, their knowledge, and all that they learned first to then their students. In terms of barriers, I would also like to share some insights from a couple of other projects that we ran at All Digital, which are ADEDU and Digital for All. So when schools suddenly shifted online during COVID, many educators simply transferred their offline lessons to the digital world, and it didn't work well in many instances. So this project specifically focused on helping teachers redesign their lessons to make them more engaging, more inclusive, more accessible, and more tailored for the digital environments. So it wasn't just about moving content online, but about rethinking pedagogy for digital environments, which I believe it's really important. Another key lesson came from another project, which is TPD, which explored how teachers can strengthen their digital competencies themselves. It's still linked to COVID. So basically, during the pandemic, many educators were simply not prepared to handle digital tools effectively. And here we worked with Digcom Edu framework and also with a self-reflection tool called Selfie for Teachers, which is a tool that helps educators assess where they stand with digital technology in their own teaching and where they can identify their areas for growth. And the underlying idea here was not to reinvent the wheel, but more to update and align the tools that they are using with real current needs, both of themselves and of their classrooms in this case. Then I would also like to spend a few words about AI-based tools in training what we were mentioning also before. I'm not gonna go into the robot reply because I mainly agree with Olena. So AI-based tools, robotics, whatever, can only support a human-based teaching from my perspective. Then I'm not sure how it's gonna be in 30, 40 years, but as of now, this is what I believe. So in terms of AI-based tools in training and like gamification in training, they can indeed be powerful, but we need to reflect if educators are using them because they generally believe that they could improve their teaching and their learning, or simply because they are innovative. So this is kind of another provocative question that we might want to ask ourselves. I believe it's essential to assess the usefulness and the ethics of these tools, and we should also think about the fact that the teachers. I mean, we cannot expect teachers to stay up to date with everything and with all the innovations that are happening in the world, in the digital world. They, in the first place, they need institutional support, and they need a trusted community behind to be properly supported. And finally, and I hope I'm on time, I would like also to make a point about how training must also go beyond theory. So educators should experience the same methods and technologies that they are expected to use with their learners. And this links with my point about the train the trainer before. So if teachers and educators in general are allowed to first use concretely the tools that they are then trying to teach to their audiences, to their student audiences, I think the impact will be much more higher. I think I'm done with my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martina. I also wanted to ask all the speakers that if you mention projects or if you mention tools, platforms or other resources, please use the time to put the links in the chat. And I would have the same request to all participants of the club. If while the speakers are speaking, if you think of some resources, of some projects, some platforms, some networks, anything that you would like to share within the club, please continue putting it in the chat. Links with a short title, what it is about, so that people could look at it during and after the club. I also wanted to thank Martina for mentioning the gamification, because I think that it's an untapped and undiscovered way of training adults. It is more popular in the corporate, in the SME training, entrepreneurship training, but it's kind of something that we should apply in the teacher professional development more and more. And in my experience, we mentioned the scaffold. This was developed as a card game exactly for this purpose, and physical card game which distracts you from the screen. And maybe I would also mention another tool, the Teacher Booster, which is 8 learning videos. This is related to another point which Martina made. It's about trying to create conditions that the teachers would be having the same learning experiences as they would like to create for their learners, which means not only passing the knowledge, but also making teachers try and experience and master in full scale what they are going to apply then in their teaching, in supporting learners. Maybe last thing I wanted to mention, following what Martina was saying, DigComp 3.0 is about to be launched. Digital Competence Framework 3.0 is about to be launched at the end of this year. And it will be now having learning outcomes for 8 levels of competence. And it will have a massive element of AI, explicit and implicit. So that would also address a little bit the topic that we continue discussing today. And with this, and also Selfie for Teachers, just to mention that we are implementing together with 2 countries at the moment, Selfie for Teachers. And also last year, there were 2 other countries involved, and we are happy to discuss it on the future occasions. Now, let's ask Teresa to step in. Teresa Vilace, I will try to pronounce it the correct way, your university, Universidad do Minho.
Fantastic, thank you.
And Teresa is here to represent the ATE, Association for Teacher Education in Europe. And we would like to ask her not less complex question we asked Martina. So focusing now on the creating conditions within schools and around the schools for supporting both teacher and student well-being. So could you share any strategies to best reduce teacher burnout and support emotional resilience of teachers and any other aspects of well-being, addressing the well-being of teachers and learners? Teresa, you have 5 minutes. Thank you very much also, Martina, for maintaining the timing.
Thank you very much. First of all, Alena, I would, on behalf of the ATE, to thank you for inviting us for this important and fantastic event, essentially because all of us are concerned with teachers and students' well-being. So, when we ask me about teachers and students' well-being and what are the most important conditions, in our association, we advocate for a very important and broad aspect and dimension of the school. And we argue that the paradigm of health promoting schools is a very good paradigm to advocate for teachers' well-being and to prevent burnout. We are good inside this paradigm that schools can promote both teachers and student well-being, essentially if they are concerned with 7 components. The first one is to introduce healthy school policies as an important issue in the networks of schools and clearly defined documents and rules to promote health and well-being in school setting. And it is important also that these policies became co-constructed with students, with teachers, and also with the broad community and also local and also school community. The other important aspect is that the schools became concerned with school physical environment, because when we are speaking about well-being, we are speaking about different dimensions of well-being, social, emotional, but also physical well-being. And for example, creating healthy physical environments may include making the school grounds more appealing for recreation and physical activity. And this is very important to promote also emotional well-being. A third dimension that we consider that is very important is the school social environment. Essentially, the relationships among schools and community, and also between pupils themselves and pupils and school staff. We understand for our research at the ATE Association that it is very important to work essentially with teachers and community in communities of learning, to understand from the beginning what are the real problems of the school connected with well-being, and also how to find creative strategies to solve contextualized problems that some of, in most of cases, diminish students and also teachers' well-being, because they are very, very connected. A fourth dimension is to promote individual health skills and action competencies on teachers, but also to train teachers to develop in their students these health skills. Because if students develop these health skills, they become more critical and more transformative of their own behaviors and practices to promote a healthy environment and to promote also teachers and students' well-being. A fifth dimension is the community links. We argue that the school is not an isolated institution. It is connected with their environment. So it's very important to promote the links between schools, the families, but also key stakeholders in the community. And these community links are very important in our research and also in our practice, because we understood essentially in our networks between researchers, teachers, and students that these links transform school in in um, in the heart of the transformation of the society. And just to finish, because we know that we have a small portion of time, we also think that is very important the relationship between health services and schools. We understand that in some countries there are a strong relationship between the local health units and schools. In some countries there are also clinics in schools to support the promotion of well-being of teachers and students. But we argue that it is very important this link not only to solve health problems, essentially burnout, but also and essentially to promote student and teachers and well-being. And finally, and for me is a key issue of our work in the ATE is teacher professional development. We argue a long time ago that the teacher professional development on health promotion and well-being is crucial to promote teachers' well-being and also to include in their own professional identity a new dimension that is not an added dimension, but a new dimension in their professional identity, that is the concern to promote not just student well-being, but also their own well-being. Because in a lot of countries, when we study teacher well-being, we understand that the global development of students and the academic issues and their abilities to solve real problems is very important. But this dimension of well-being is in a lot of countries not valued. And you understand that there are a lot of research from our research group, but also around the world, connecting well-being and academic success and also future professional success. So we advocate in a strong way for a teacher professional development who includes not as an added subject, but as a new dimension of their formation, health promotion and well-being. Thank you very much, Olena.
Thank you, Teresa. I was thinking that, maybe some of the aspects would have been already addressed by each of you in your work, by all of us. We know about importance of social and emotional learning and communities of practice, but do we apply it? Do we really try to help the teachers with the by bringing the teachers together to solve their problems? And it should not be one-time effort, but it should be, as Teresa was saying, something that really works as a soft system, works as something that surrounds, that creates around the teachers this atmosphere of trust, comfort, and this social emotional aspect, the aspect of behavior, the aspect of relations, the culture of joining together when you need to solve the problem. This is extremely important. Community links for different institutions, it could be different for different schools, it could be different possibility to connect depending on the small village or in big city. So every time is a different challenge, but I would like to thank Teresa for mentioning these very important aspects. And this brings me to her last point about the link to global developments. We have Tuba here, Tuba Akili, from Turkey, who is the teacher trainer herself and who has been acting as Erasmus coordinator and also she has experience of e-twinning implementation and design. So we wanted to ask her about this aspect of international teacher professional development mobility. How could we make it practical and make sure that it adds value to support teacher professional growth and innovation and cultural awareness? And maybe you could also mention for our participants, as in the previous, in the case of previous speakers, some platforms or some tools that could be addressing both from maybe digital or physical, addressing the mobility opportunities for teachers internationally. Tuba, you have also 5 minutes, and
Yes.
the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, Olena, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, ETF TPD Club program. I am Professional Development Coordinator at the Ministry of National Education in Turkey. I am responsible for preparing training programs for teachers all across the Turkey. And also I write and implement international projects for teachers professional development. I am active on the mobility programs. From my perspective, teacher mobility gives teachers new energy and new perspectives, new skills. So I think mobility programs is a key factor for the well-being as well. And it helps them grow professionally, culturally, and personally. They not only learn new methods via mobilities, but also reflect on their own practices as well. They come back more open-minded and motivated to try innovative ideas in their classrooms. And in Turkey, I have seen many teachers joined mobility programs and return with great enthusiasm. They start new projects and they use new methods, new digital tools, shared what they learned with their colleagues. And so I believe that teacher mobility doesn't just benefit one teacher. It benefits many others through sharing and collaboration. On the other side, mobility programs are not only about traveling physically. They are also, I think, opportunities online virtually via virtual mobilities. Through platforms, School Education Gateway or e-twinning, these are the platforms names. Teachers can run their projects and they can exchange new ideas virtually. And other platforms for the physical events, Salto, we can join many courses for our professional development. Shortly, both physical and virtual mobility programs support teachers' well-being and help their professional development. They make teachers feel more confident, happy, and connected with the other teachers. That's my contribution for that panel. Thank you, Olena.
That was very fast. And I also wanted to thank you for mentioning a number of tools and platforms, and I'm sure there will be more links in the chat.
Okay.
I asked the speakers to listen to each other during the panel, and just maybe let's give them 1 minute actually to reflect, maybe to pick up some point from what was striking for them in their colleagues' input. So who would like to start with no order? Martina, yeah.
I can go, as Tuba just mentioned something that it was quite interesting and I reflected already about it. It's like she mentioned that in terms of virtual mobility, there are some virtual tools and platforms that can have like a better impact as they create like a more collaborative and creative way of let's say peer support across teachers. And this, I believe, it's also something that it's really important when we talk about like community of practices. Like that's really the power of community of practices, the power of this kind of initiative the clubs that we are doing right now. So I think that bringing teachers, educators together and make them feel heard and supported and creating a space where they can learn from each other is one of the best way forward, in a sense that in a hybrid world like the one that we are experiencing right now, the virtual mobility not necessarily means moving like and changing career or like improving in their careers, but it can also mean supporting each other in a virtual way and participating in this kind of digital and virtual spaces for collaboration and for peer support. Because as I was mentioning also in my contribution before, on top of institutional and public or private support, I think that educators need community support as well. And who could best understand educators than other educators, right? So both in terms of challenging and in terms of solutions and opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who would like to be next? Teresa, yeah?
If you, I would like to share some thoughts when I was listening you. Essentially, I was thinking about the Rena's keynote and also the Martina's intervention. And we know from our research that AI and also gamification sometimes is a factor that decreases the well-being of teachers because they are not well prepared, and also their students in some cases are very well prepared and they know very well how to use these tools in class, and also to show the teachers new ways to learn. So I think that because of these new challenges in society, I think that is really very, very important from all our sharing of ideas to foster a positive school culture and essentially encouraging teachers to collaboration, not competition, and to work more in a small groups than individually, and to develop their own professional identity as a group, as a team, not individually, and essentially encouraging professional learning communities and also peer mentoring. I think that is very, very important to help to reflect on their practices and on the new challenges in the community. Also, I think it is very important in all countries to recognize and celebrate the teachers' achievements, not just the big achievements, but all small achievements, and to promote an open communication between teachers, but also with leadership. We know that the leadership in schools and also the intermediate leadership, for example, the class tutors, the for example, in the case of Portugal, the leaders of the subject department, there are mentors of the other teachers, and they could encourage teachers in order to include in that professional development, as I said before, the concern with their own well-being, to care about their mental well-being. This is very important. And to finish, I think that really currently schools need to prioritize mental health and emotional support for teachers. And this is my
Thank
first
you.
comment.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you. Tuba, would you like to say something in this round?
Uh, no, Olena, I am sending the links of the
Okay.
I mentioned before. So
That's okay. That's great.
thank you.
I wanted to just maybe share quick two thoughts from my side. I was also impressed by the comment Teresa just made about cooperation, not competition. Because this also comes from the overall setting and atmosphere. It's how do you evaluate the teachers? What are the criteria? What is the encouragement? Because it's also a matter of if you want teachers to be innovative, are they allowed to make mistakes? And if they make mistakes, does it lead to positive evaluation or negative evaluation of their work? So there are many nuances, and this uh, very delicate fabric of competition versus cooperation. It's a result of the overall culture in the institution. So I think what all of us can do in our own job is to really work on the culture, work on the social aspects, work on the collaboration, and making sure that teachers have the platform, where a physical platform, in face-to-face platform, etc. And there was a study about entrepreneurial university many years ago in many universities of Europe, something like 2006, I think. They came up with the conclusion, what are the three factors that lead to the university to become entrepreneurial? And these were one, two, three. One would be there must be somebody who moves this agenda forward. So it's not necessarily a manager. It's somebody, could be head of department, could be just a normal professor, somebody who takes the initiative, a leader. Then there must be some place where there is a home for entrepreneurial university. So it must be a door where it says entrepreneurial university, club or team or whatever. And the third one, it should be in the strategy. It has to be declared at the top level that leadership of the university recognizes the way to move towards this goal. So these were the three ingredients that were shared. I see Fabio who is keeping his hand, and I wanted also to ask if there are any questions from all of you. Please raise your hand, and you will be able to ask your question.
Yeah, I
Fabio?
just wanted to actually to read the comment by Eva Perkov, who had to leave. And actually, it's a comment by the Mundus organization in Spain. They work a lot on mobility, teachers and students' mobility. And actually, she's mentioning here this project with a nice title, From Burnout to Balance. And actually, this makes me think maybe something also to reflect in our final session in a moment. Not so much on the themes. I think today we showed that we can cover well the themes, the five themes, but on the connections between the themes. Because actually, I had never thought beyond anecdotal evidence of nice to travel and to discover new culture that actually teachers' mobility, educators' mobility can have a very good impact on well-being of educators. Typically, we think, we tend at least I tend to think about, the dangers of digital, and we said before, substitutions and what can happen in the future. But actually, I mean, possibly an added value of our work, thinking also of out loud for next year, could be in the connection. So how can mobility contribute to well-being? How can digital contribute to situated peer learning and so on? So maybe drawing some lines between the different areas, like Eva was mentioning here, and actually she's also leaving her email in case you want to participate, you're interested in participating in the follow-up of that project. I think it's interesting because it's there where we might find new solutions, no, or new ideas. So, for example, mobility as a tool for teachers' well-being in the long run. I think it's a nice idea.
Thank you, Fabio. I really enjoy seeing you, those who keep their cameras on, and I respect those who don't don't open their cameras. But I wanted to see if there are any quick reflections or quick comments, and we will wrap up to finish at 3:30. But we will keep our final comments to a minimum. So if any thoughts, any comments, any reflections, you are welcome to raise your hand now. Olena. Olena Sheyan. Yes, Ukraine. Ukraine is very active in today's session. I'm so happy to see that there are so many good friends and colleagues here. Hi, Natalia. Also, have not seen you for ages. And Avshenyuk. And hi to everyone, and very happy that hi, and that Lilia Renevich is with us all this time. Hi, Roman Sheyan. Sorry not to mention everyone, but Olena, please speak. Open your mic to speak. It didn't work. It didn't work. We don't hear you. Try again. Yes, now we hear you.
Sorry, I also want to add some aspects about well-being from LifeComp. Because if we look at LifeComp and thinking about personal area, well-being is pursuit of the life satisfaction, care of physical, mental, and social health, and adoption of a sustainable lifestyle. And all these three parts are very difficult provided into the life of teacher. It's very difficult for teacher to have a satisfaction of a life and profession. We heard about that. I see that teachers can't care about physical, mental, and social health personally. They always care about children and about his family or her family, but not about himself or herself. It's very necessary. And also sustainable lifestyle. It's, if you're thinking about teacher profession, it's very difficult to see that it will be sustainability in his life, her life. So this three position, it's very needed to understand and to provide in the life of teachers. And in this moment, if they take it into account, maybe it will be more better and easier their life and profession, and it will be for them. It's very necessary. It seems to me. Thank you,
Lena. Thank you. And this made me also think that last week we had a workshop with lots of experienced educators discussing also these issues, and we should remember that teacher well-being also depends on students.
Yeah.
Students are active participants in this collective well-being story. So it's not only teachers have to focus on students' well-being and their peers' well-being, but also students contribute to teacher well-being. That's why the overall culture and atmosphere and competences of students to take care of their own well-being would make them more attentive to the teacher's well-being and the teacher's needs. So that is also, there's a reciprocity in this. Would somebody else would like to say a couple of words, reflection and or some provoking question to the speakers, to any of us, to the colleagues?
If it is possible, I would like to add a new idea.
It is possible, yes.
It is not a new idea. For me, is a key issue. And following what Alena said, thank you very much, Alena. I think that our big challenge in this moment is modeling emotional resilience of teachers to promote their well-being. It is not easy, but when we're speaking around the world, and essentially because we know the problem of war in this moment around the world, I think that is very important because well-being is not the same in countries that are with a safe climate, with positive policies, than when we compare with countries that are in a very fragile and difficult situation in this moment. And when they continue trying to do teacher training, trying to support students at university and in compulsory education. So I really think that we need to share more ideas, and thanks again in name of the ATE for this invitation, because I think that this forum is very important, namely to learn how to support each others, how to work as a community of learning around the world to promote this emotional resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa. I see Alexandros keeps his hand. Yes, you will
Hello, everyone.
You will make the last comment, because then we will pass the floor to my colleagues Fabio and Roberto.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, very
great. So my idea was that I kind of combined the digital and the well-being And I was thinking, because I was listening to a podcast from an engineer, a software engineer, that there are programming languages that are resource efficient, like for electricity, but are not that loved by software engineers. And there are languages that are loved by engineers. They are a bit less efficient, but they make these engineers happier. So if we take this to teaching, I think this is also like an interesting conversation on efficiency and effectiveness, because yes, you can have technologies that are more efficient in the sense that they replace the teacher, they replace certain efforts that the teacher has to make, versus if we take it to a conversation about well-being, maybe it's about finding what are the technologies that will make the teachers happier and thus support their well-being, and therefore create a better effectiveness rather than efficiency when looking at technology. Thank you very much.
Alexandros, fantastic point. From my side, I would like to applaud you, because being happy is important not only for teachers, for all of us, and this really changes the way we feel about work, about ourselves, and this really helps to achieve not only efficiency but also success in life for everyone, for students and for teachers. Okay, Fabio and Roberto, we are finishing a little bit later than expected, but I will keep my final remarks to the minimum, so you can take the floor now with the wrap up and reflection points about the next steps and the homework for this club. Who would like to take the floor? Of you two?
Roberto, you start.
Yes, okay, thank you. Just really a couple of minutes, because I would like to share once again the open space page, ETF open space page, where you can find the so-called call for practices for this club. This is the nice graphic that you saw before at the beginning of the webinar, and the reasons why we would like you to contribute, and the links to the 5 key areas. So what we are asking you now, and we have been asking you in the last month, is to go to this page, to click in one of the links that you will find corresponding to each key area. Of course, you can choose more than one, but be sure to choose something that you are confident with. And this is a very simple form. I hope that you are seeing it. And this is just an example about the key area 1, applied situated learning on the job. So the teacher professional development on the job. Never mind about the deadline for submission. I think that this could be easily postponed to 1st of November rather than 1st of September. And we ask your data, and most of all, a short description of your practice, what are the outcomes or lessons learned, and if there is any supporting materials or link you can mention. So as you may see, this form is very easy. It's the same for all the key, the 5 key area. So you have one, let's say, until the end of the month to fill in this this form. And thank you in advance, and thank you for all who are contributing so far. And now I would leave the floor to my colleague Marta, who will be showing you the draft of the output we have in mind. Please, Marta.
Perfect. Thank you, Roberto. So Roberto told you a little bit more about the so-called homework, and I will just show you in a few, let's say, in a few slides, what we mean about the final output. So we are going to create a kind of playbook, and it will be titled probably Model of the Contemporary TPD. And here we will base our document on 5 thematic areas. So the same thematic areas, of course, that already has been mentioned by Ole and by Fabio. So we structure everything upon the five pillars. And the following cards will be describing shortly each of the area. So please, I repeat, it's a prototype. So of course we will fine tune the document in the following weeks. So here, different thematic areas. And here you can find a very important slide. And here we are going to connect input from you. So we are going to go through the questionnaires, all the feedback we will receive from you, and we are going later to connect each area with interesting tools, with interesting resources that are coming from you and coming also from speakers. So we would like that the club produce something interesting, something useful for the practitioners. So we would like to put everything somehow together, so not fragmented. Very often we receive information from you, even today in the chat, about interesting projects, about interesting methodologies, approaches, and so on. And we are going to put everything together in this document, which will be an interactive document, also easy to share. And we will do our best to make the structure very clear, very easy, and very user-friendly. So this is a kind of idea about how we are going to work and how we are going to elaborate, let's say, feedback coming from you. So important that this document is a community-led document, because it's totally co-created by members and by speakers. So we are very proud of that. And I liked very much the comment that Martina did about the rationale of such communities. So this is absolutely the rationale of our community, of our club, to make and share this knowledge with many people. So of course, we cannot expect that every teacher is updated about everything, but we support them in this job.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank
Fabio?
you.
I think Fabio is, yes, you were
Yes,
frozen. Yeah.
I was frozen for a moment. No, I just wanted to add that this is a similar outcome with respect to what is happening in the other club. And the logic is, imagine we are trying to filter all the thoughts of the speakers, which are not just individual speakers. We have
Good luck.
You hear me?
Good luck. I'm saying good luck, Fabio. Yes.
Yes. No, we are trying to filter them, not only ATE, not only the different projects. We have also the lifelong learning platform who was with us in the last webinar. Here, Andrea is with us. So to try to filter these thoughts, having in mind the individual educator that might want to experiment something new. So it's not enough, we believe, just to put a list of projects, but that is a way to structure projects according to challenges and to thematics in a very, let's say, from teacher to teacher way. So that is the logic that we adopt in all the different outcomes of the clubs. And importantly, these are all openly licensed, and as we have seen in other clubs, can be translated also in different in your languages. For example, a similar outcome from our STEAM club is being translated into Georgian. One might be translated into Turkish soon. So there are ideas. I mean, if you think, and we believe that, of course, language is important in order to reach the individual teachers, not only the ones like you that can speak English and that can take 1.5 hours of your time to attend this webinar. But imagine your colleagues who, for whatever reason, might need something in their language today is rather easy and cheap to translate with digital technology, something like that. And so the interesting thing is that the content, we don't, as Marta was saying, we don't produce a single line of content apart from the structure and the introduction. All the practices come either from the speakers or from the members of the club that submitted their practices. So I would say Roberto, let's keep it open even until the end of November. I think we still have time. And let's say, again, the outcome is an excuse to get your practices within a deadline and to structure them. And then, of course, it keeps on improving. And as we have seen in the other clubs, not only can be translated, but also can be enriched in subsequent phases. So that's just an invitation for you to have a look and to submit the practices. I think submitting a practice can take like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The only barrier is that it has to be submitted in English. So again, get creative on your, in case, web translation tools. But what we can promise is that we will take it into account, and we come back to the educators who submitted, and then we enter into individual dialogues to learn more about that. So it's a relatively, I would say, also enriching process for all of us. So just an invitation, the link is there. Feel free to do it. Feel free to submit it. And if you have any doubt, come back to us. And thank you in advance. And the closing word to Olena.
And I will keep it very short because we are a little bit beyond time, 2 minutes now, and I will keep it to 2 minutes. I wanted to mention one person today who was not present, but who was with us during the first 2 meetings of the club. Her name is Alice Alginucci. And she kicked off the work of the club together with us, but she moved to another new challenge of her career. She moved to Cambodia, and she's working on peacekeeping initiatives. She remains very much in touch with us, and we were very sorry that she had to continue going. But that happens in life, that people just to feel happy, they need to pursue their own goals and careers. So I'm sure she's happy, and we are happy for her. So just to thank Alice for her a little bit more than 1 year to be part of our team. And also I would like to thank all the speakers of today and all participants who stayed with us. Practically the whole group of people who started today, the webinar finishes with us now. The webinar, which means that we have a chances to have next year this club to continue its work. And please think about the ideas, the formats, the content, anything you would like to put in the center of the next phase of discussions under the Teacher Professional Development Club. For us, it remains a high priority. And I would like to also thank the team STEPS, Roberto and Marta, who have been super creative with us and supporting us so much in different crazy ideas that we were launching at them, sometimes with a very short notice. And I would like to pre-announce the 17th of November. Can I? Fabio, Roberto, Marta? Yeah. So the 17th of November is a very important clubs meeting, because we will bring together the 4 clubs. So it's the time to look at cross-sectoral, cross-thematic takeaways. We will not cover the whole thing, but it will be, we are starting to prepare it. It's not easy, but we hope that all of you could join. And we know that you're super crazy busy, all of you. So the fact that you have been with us for an hour and 35 minutes by now means that you are very dedicated to the topic, and we hope that we will continue next year. With this, thanks a lot, and I will pass your greetings to Alice when we hear her next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.